It was a different kind of format. It was one he did with a guy named Theo Vaughn, another one with a guy named Sean Ryan. These are really long form interviews, like over an hour long. And they get into a lot of deep stuff. With Theo Vaughn, they talked about actually Theo's drug and alcohol addiction issues.
Right.
Trump was asking him about, he kind of became the interviewer for a while, asking Theo about his issues. Talking about, though, his brother Fred, who was supposed to be an alcoholic, and I think ended up dying from that. That's why Trump himself said he never drank or smoked. So interesting, like I said, getting more detail in this kind of alternative format.
Welcome to Reporter's Notebook, where we talk to the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the stories breaking on their beats. I'm Jim Antle, and I'm joined today by White House reporter Haisten Willis. Haisten, the presidential campaign is all heated up, and we've seen very different strategies in terms of how to deal with the media between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. What has Harris been doing as part of her media strategy?
Yeah, her media strategy has been basically to be on script, usually literally on script, having a teleprompter in front of her. Interestingly, the two campaigns have really been converging when it comes to policy. Trump has got to move to the right on abortion. Vance, of course, said that Trump would veto a national abortion ban.
Right.
Harris has gone more to the right on policies. Her campaign is now saying she would support some funding for a border wall. He went to say something like that. She also no longer supports an EV mandate. Other things she said in her 2020 campaign. So what they're doing here is showing contrast in other ways. Harris has mostly avoided doing interviews. Her first one was with CNN. She also had her vice presidential candidate, Tim Walz, his name was escaping me for a second there, along with her. But it was almost 40 days from the time Biden dropped out to when Harris did that. So Trump, I think, partly to show contrast, is interviewing everybody he can find just about. He's doing these different podcasts, doing traditional interviews, doing press conferences, really showing, hey, look, I'm an open book. I'll talk to you. Kamala Harris won't. So that's kind of the contrast between the strategy when it comes to how they're handling the media.
Because it is interesting, because Trump is a media figure in his own right, or at least that's sort of how he came up into national politics. And while he is much more active than Harris on the media front, he has chosen fairly non-traditional platforms other than the press conferences, which are pretty traditional.
Yeah,
But
well, he has done a few interviews, I think, with regular traditional journalists as well. But yeah, he's been doing more of these podcast hosts, which I never even had really heard of a lot of these guys until I got an assignment to write on this. So I listened to some of these podcasts. They were interesting. It was a different kind of format. It was one he did with a guy named Theo Vaughn, another one with a guy named Sean Ryan. These are really long form interviews, like over an hour long. And they get into a lot of deep stuff. With Theo Vaughn, they talked about actually Theo's drug and alcohol addiction issues. Trump was asking him about, he kind of became the interviewer for a while, asking Theo about his issues. Talking about, though, his brother Fred, who was supposed to be an alcoholic, and I think ended up dying from that. That's why Trump himself said he never drank or smoked. So interesting, like I said, getting more detail in this kind of alternative format. So he's really embraced that. Some of these guys, again, I hadn't heard of them, but they have like millions, I think like 3 million followers, some of them on YouTube. So he's reaching an audience there, likely an audience of younger men based on what I saw from those interviews who he's trying to reach. Probably will go for him if they did vote. So that's what he's doing. And yeah, he seems comfortable in that format. He's kind of saying some of the same stuff I noticed when I did listen to multiple podcast interviews. But anyway, that's what he's doing. And again, Kamala Harris, much shorter, much more on script.
So this is still in a little bit of flux as we speak, but it looks like there's going to be a traditional media situation where Trump and Harris are going to be together, and that's presidential debate.
Right.
What has sort of gone into the back and forth between the two campaigns over what the terms of this debate might be?
Yeah, there's been a lot of wrangling over this debate. Basically, this was scheduled before Biden dropped out, and there was a series of really unusual agreements that Trump agreed to, no audience. The big one has been that they would have their mics cut off. When you're done speaking, the moderator can cut you off. You could speak, but nobody would hear you. That Trump agreed to. The idea, supposedly, was that the Biden camp wanted this. They thought it would make Trump look worse, basically, if he had to have his mic cut off. Either way, that first debate happened. Didn't go very well for Biden. he's gone, Kamala Harris is in. The Harris campaign now is still pushing to change that particular rule. They want the mics to be on.
They want Trump to be able to interrupt, and Biden did not want Trump to be able to interrupt.
Yes, exactly. I think, and it's hard to say exactly what they think, but my thoughts on this is that they think that Trump interrupting would look bad against Kamala Harris being a woman and that kind of thing. They also, I rewatched the 2020 vice presidential debate and definitely noticed she had this line she kept doing. If Mike Pence, the vice presidential candidate at that time, tried to interrupt her, she would say, I'm speaking, right. Kind of shake her head like that. It's like a signature line for her. It became kind of an internet meme. She used it again at a rally not that long ago when some pro-Palestinian protesters interrupted her. She cut them off, said, I'm speaking. So I think her campaign wants this to happen with Trump. He tries to interrupt her. She cuts him off and says, I'm speaking. And the internet goes crazy. I think that's one thing they're looking for. But so far, ABC has not budged on this. I keep seeing stories coming out saying it's finalized, it's not going to happen, the mics are going to be cut off. But then her campaign doesn't seem to be letting this go. So we'll see what happens on that front.
Right. They keep bringing up the fact that while Trump in general said that he thinks they should stick to the existing rules, he did make a comment to the effect that, well, I don't really care whether we have the mics on.
Yeah, so Harris people are trying to kind of drive a wedge there. Well, if he's not against it, then why are you doing this? And ironically, kind of going back a little further, Trump was the one actually first trying to say, hey, these debate rules were for me and Biden. I haven't agreed to this. We should redo this. And Harris's campaign said, oh, Trump's backing out of the debate. So he said, okay, I'm going to do it. Now Harris people are the ones trying to wrangle it. So yeah, quite a lot of debate over the debate still today.
Will Harris bring the fly from the vice presidential debate?
We will see. Maybe that'll be the new highlight. I don't know.
That might be the new highlight. Thank you, Haisten.
All right, thanks.
You can read Haisten and the rest of our political team's coverage at washingtonexaminer.com.